I think you did indeed make a very noticeable change to Vitality in that the games actually looked winnable when you were playing in them, as beforehand it was really tragic in terms of Vitality's overall performance. And it just makes me wonder, as a veteran player, considering that you were the brightest spot on SK last year, and to see them kind of change a lot of the roster around, move Gen X into the top lane. Gen X has actually grown a lot as a top laner, which we can certainly talk about. I think he was very impressive in the series versus Fnatic. But in fact, he's probably the only reason that they were really even competitive in that series. But I'm shocked that you ended up on no team. And I know you and I have discussed this previously, but it was very weird this European offseason because it felt like with Mad Lion's success with the 4 rookie roster, that every team just wanted to take a look at the next, you know, the EU Masters. Let's get the next rookies. Maybe they can be super good. But when everyone does that, there's a lot of flaws with that kind of thinking. It felt like people weren't willing to build around established veterans. And I made the joke of like the classic like Family Guy joke of like, you know, what's in the mystery box? It could be anything. It could even be a boat, right? And it's like, what could this 80 carry be? It could be anything. It could even be Crownshot. Is kind of like hilarious that you didn't end up on a team through all of this. So what was your experience with how teams were recruiting? Is that true? They were mostly looking at the rookies?
Well, to address like somebody in the chat who said that I banked on Fnatic G2, right? That is like completely false, because that part got known a bit later in the off season. I was mostly talking to NA teams, and a lot of it just fell through. And I think I explained in a previous video, if I wanted to even talk to any other team, I had to decline the SK offer, and then they just were talking to someone else or whatever. And I felt like it was time for a change of pace, so I declined it. I was in close talks with some NA teams, but it just fell through in the end. Maybe also because they wanted more rookies, but for sure, I think there's this fallacy, or maybe wrong idea that people have in esports, where if someone is like a rookie and young, and this means this player will be a prodigy, or like this can be the next Caps, right? Like this is what every team thinks. While I think it's obviously a huge leap you have to take, right? Intellectual leap you have to take to just assume every player has that potential. And I think maybe also unwillingness to spend. Maybe it's also Corona, right? Affecting stuff. I mean, probably for sure, right? But I was a bit surprised. Yeah, I think the rookie hype I see every year, right? In my mind, EU Masters gets weaker and weaker because, well, all the talent gets like sucked up, right? So I mean, eventually, it's gonna be at least slightly weaker.
It's probably its best about 2.5 years ago. Something
yeah,
what would you say?
Well, maybe Froggen Forgiven, maybe that split.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did stomp all you guys. My bad, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they did beat us. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think it was at the highest for sure, that split. And like, for example, even in 20 last year, in spring when LDLC won it, right? For the next split, none of them actually went to LEC, which means in the eyes of people, none of the rookies were LEC ready. But then this year, there is 14 LEC ready rookies out of nowhere. What, in my opinion, that is just impossible, right? Like, there's no way that works.
Well, what's funny too about this is that even the team that created this wave, which is Mad Lions, right? Last year, they didn't even they got rid of half their rookies. Like, they don't have Shadow and Orome anymore, right? They replaced them, and they replaced them with like a veteran from the Turkish scene, right? So it's like they even dialed back on getting rookies into their own team, and they said, hey, even though we had these good results, it's not good enough. This is not going to push us to the next level. And indeed, they look like a much better team now, right? I think Mad Lions looked really good overall in the playoffs. And so it seems like their decision is being justified, but even Mad Lions know that Mad Lions got lucky. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not saying every rookie is garbage, right? I'm just saying what Reddit or just people have a tendency to do is they tend to hype up new players because it's like the unknown, right? It's more mysterious. Oh, maybe this guy could be really insane.
Sure.
Maybe these people could be crazy. But I mean, come on, like you can't just call every single new player that comes into the league, wow, this team is going to be so exciting to watch. I think this team can be insane. Like, not every team can be good. Right? Like there has to be bottom teams and top teams. But for sure, I think the rookie hype is way overblown. I think there's a lot of players that came in this split that are not the best. So they have a lot of holes in their gameplay. You can see that they're not LEC ready. And yeah, it's just maybe it's more economic reasons, right? Or maybe teams want like they see obviously Mad Lion's success and they think of it as the norm, not as like a rare thing that happens, right? Like people love saying that LEC every year it brings a different rookie team to Worlds or something, right? I think that's a like common thing people say, but
It's like
it's
a
not
classic veteran quote, I think.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not like a endless supply of rookies that you're just producing every year. Like I don't think the talent pool is nearly as deep as China and Korea. So,
Well, I mean, objectively, like China has 10x as many players, right?
yeah, it's just a numbers game. I mean, it's the same in Korea. Like teams there have like AB, like academy, and then second academy, and then even third team. Right? They have like 15 players ready. If they spot a talent, they instantly sign them to academy and nurture him from the start. So the culture is much different, right? Here, I think it's very rare that somebody gets replaced mid-split, but I think Korea, it happens for sure more frequently in China. If some people have bad games, they're just changed instantly. So
this is how you know, by the way, how different LEC is from LCS, because we're actually on LEC. Like, please stop developing talent. Like, there's enough talent. Like, we don't. Whoa! You're throwing that Crownshot baby away with the bathwater. Whoa, we can redeem that still. Listen, bring that here, bring it over here. Get rid of him. Like, he's not actually that good to get rid of. Like, dude, we actually have too much talent. Like, now people are just because, as you say, the real problem is they even actually unironically say things like, but what if he's the next Caps? Like, first of all, don't say that as though there's like 50 of them out there. Just fucking. That's like going, instead of working for some money, maybe I'll just walk around the street and just hope I just find like 10-euro notes. Like, it might happen once or twice, mate, but it's a bad strategy long term, isn't it? Like, so the problem I have is the area that I can't handle, which is why I actually agree with Monty. I personally think they do it cynically to save money. I don't think that these owners really believe that they're going to get like all LCS talent in the first year, but they're acting like they are by the pickups they're making. They're gambling like they are, but only a couple of people are going to get those players. Because as you said, that famous thing of like, we take a rookie team to work, it ain't going to happen this year. Like, this is obviously the year it won't happen, because this year it would have to be like SK's team or something. Like they have an outside chance at it, maybe, but even then it's just not going to happen. So in my opinion, like that was a thing in the past, because last few years people did a really good job of getting the rookies in, but I think they've gone too far this offseason. For me, it went the other way. Now they've gone too far, just trying to gamble, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it was never as high as 14. Like, that's 3 teams of rookies. That's crazy, right? Like, I think it's a way
30% of the league.
Yeah, that's actually absolutely crazy. Like, I think it's a way to maybe like hype up the fans, right? Instead of telling them, like, I mean, we just can't compete with some of the bigger teams and their budgets, or like NA teams, which is just a fact for some teams, right? And a way to like soften the blow or something is just to say, this guy completely stomping national leagues, he's insane. And of course, I mean, it's a business in the end, I guess. So that's, you obviously have to create hype, even if there's no hype there, right?
I think like maybe in the short term, you're right about the talent development as well. But I think in the long term, the EU talent development and also incentive to play is probably getting higher, because, for example, we've seen absolutely huge numbers in the French league viewership, which should, mean that amateur players or tier 2 players start to get more money from the teams, and it becomes more valuable for sponsors to enter the LFL and stuff like that. So I think maybe in the next couple years, we might see, fewer rookies. But I think that because the regional leagues have started to develop really significant viewership, like actual, now we have League of Legends sub-leagues that are getting kind of tier 2 esports viewership, that it'll create a bigger incentive for these teams to develop players, because then they can sell them to LEC or LCS, right? And they can have sustainable sponsorships locally within France. They can train the players better through better facilities. So obviously that's not going to happen immediately, because this is the first year we've seen those big numbers. But if that continues, I think actually it sets up a really nice development pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, there's also something I'd like to mention, like some of these like more popular regional teams. What you see there is every player that actually plays, the fans hype up every player as LEC ready. Like K-Corp, right, which is like the most popular French team now. The French fans, I understand them. I'm just like commenting on. I don't want to get any more hate that I got this bit. But what I want to say is, like, you can't. Not every player can be LEC ready. If that player like didn't get to LEC in a few years, then he's probably not LEC ready. I mean, and even you can hype up the rookies to be LEC ready, but then you have to justify it by explaining who you think they would replace, right?
Sure.
You can't, and you can say, oh, LEC needs 12 teams and all of this because the talent pool is deep. But then you also have to compare what is it like deep compared to, because compared to China and Korea, the bottom LEC teams would get demolished by a lot of LCK, LPL teams for sure. And if you put in 2 more teams that are like full national league, right, rookies, unproven rookies on the LEC stage, unproven, then I don't know how well they would do. So yeah, I think of course it's like a natural reaction of fans to want to see their favorite players in LEC, because this is like the top league in the region, and it's just a product of hype. But I think people need to. Sometimes it's a bit excessive for sure.
By the way, just to put your mind at ease on that, like that's not even a discussion that like needs to happen, because it's literally almost non-existent. Like the idea, like basically what fans are doing, right, is where they go, well, there's all this extra talent, so we should just add 2 teams to the league. Like, who are you, by the way? Like, this isn't like it's not like a fucking party that you're arranging. Like, you are aware, like, LEC is a thing where companies buy in for like $10 million or more. By the way, it's invite only. You don't just, it's not like crashing someone's wedding, like, oh, what's going on there? Little sausages and stuff. You got any more of those, like, hors d'oeuvres? Like, what do you do when you, like, so, in case you don't know, by the way, if you go to the LEC owners and go, but guys, there's more talent than you could use. Why don't you just invite 2 teams and let them have some of the players, maybe they can beat you? They're just going to go, no thanks, I think we're cool as we are, actually.
I mean,
listen, we already let XL in, so I think we're just cool. If that's fine, why you?
Yeah, that's the most hilarious part to me, is that the fans just say, oh, there's so much talent, we need 12 teams inside. They don't understand it's about revenue sharing, the buy-in, all of this. You need 2 huge orgs that will buy in and commit long term. Like, oh, they just see, oh, my favorite player, he needs to be in LEC, he needs to be in LEC. Right? I mean, yeah, that's just, I guess that's what fans are in the end, right? They need to be a bit irrational, I guess. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, and here's the also, if you're trying to use the logic of like, oh, look at all the teams China has. Have you guys ever watched a bottom tier LPL Fiesta? Nobody wants to watch that. We don't need more LEC teams. We definitely don't need more LCS teams, right? We're not getting quality games at the bottom of the table right now, or even remotely interesting games, frankly. So I think, right now, LEC, I feel like I didn't really feel like I wasted a lot of time watching any LEC game this split. Like, I felt like even if I was watching 2 of the lesser teams, there were still reasons that I was interested in it. Whereas, further dilution, I think would exacerbate that issue potentially. So,
the stupid thing about LEC is this is why whenever people talk about the strength of a league, we have to ask, what do you mean by that? Like, usually when I talk about strength of a league, I usually mean like, how many elite teams do you have? So for example, LCK doesn't look that great because aside from Dan, one of the others look super ropey, right? But if you want to go the other way and just talk about basic parity, the LEC, the bottom of the LEC, last split and this split, is fire. Like, the teams that don't make the playoffs, I'm not saying it just like everyone does on all these talk shows, that some of the teams that do not make the LEC playoffs would make a run in the LCS playoffs. And I'm not going to do that thing like they'd all win or whatever. Like, no, but put it this way, they would be dangerous. I'm not fucking around.